Geek to me radio, da 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 da. Geek to me radio, da 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 da.
Welcome, geeks and nerds, girls and boys, to another all-new edition of Geek to Me Radio. Today we have a wall-to-wall, jam-packed show with guests. Ryan Cooper and Laura Enstall from Legends and Lanterns in St. Charles will tell us about that festival. We'll have Mike Tyler from the Naked Magicians telling us about his upcoming show at Westport Plaza. Justin Burnette of Justin Comics phones in to tell us about his one-year anniversary sale. And Ralph Garman, who's at the pageant tonight with Kevin Smith, will be on the air. All that and more. Stand by!
Comics and movies and video games. And if you don't know Star Trek from Star Wars, we'll try to explain. There are 12 doctors for Hogwarts houses, one ring rules them all. To be the greatest Pokemon master, you must catch them all. You must catch them all. Try to catch them all. Gotta catch them all. Gotta catch them all.
And if you're driving around the St. Louis area, hearing this on 105.3 FM or 1380 AM, thank you very much. If you're streaming us out there in the world via the web, thank you very much for finding us there. And of course, if you're hearing us after the fact in the podcast form on Google Play, iTunes, SoundCloud, or Podomatic, we appreciate your subscribing there and listening to us each week. This segment, as it always is, and the entire show is sponsored by the historic city of St. Charles, the website discoverstcharles.com. Normally you hear me talk about what a great place it is to go visit, all the food and drink and dining options, the unique shopping experiences, all the things there are to do. But rather than me just tell you, as I do each week, this time we've got two guests in studio. Ryan Cooper and Laura Enstall, who are the directors and co-director of the Legends and Lantern Festival, are here because it's coming up next weekend, the last 2 weekends of October, and they're here to tell us all about it. Ryan and Laura, thanks very much for coming in. So, Legends and Lanterns, this is the third year of the festival, and we've had, Ryan, you were in last year to talk about the festival. What's changed? What's new for the third year?
So now that it's our third year, we've decided to grow a little bit. So in addition to all the wonderful events and characters we've had in the past, we've added an element of theme this year where we celebrate classic horror literature, classic horror cinema, and the theater. So all of our new characters, all of our events kind of pay homage to the power of the written word and the creative minds that kind of have sent a shiver down our spine over the years.
And Laura, this is your second year with the festival. What has, for you, been the biggest change you've seen come about over last year?
We have added more characters, and also one of my favorite things that we're doing this year, we're having writer's block, and our Poe brothers, our Grimm brothers and Edgar Allan Poe and Mary Shelley, they're going to be presenting a short theater production almost on the street, and that's several times throughout the day, each day that we're there. And it's a really great script, and it's just fun for them to perform. So that's one of my favorite things that we've added this year.
If they were the Poe boys, then people would think you're selling sandwiches.
I know, right?
That's right.
There's
He's
one
just
Poe.
a Poe boy from a Poe family.
Exactly.
As they say.
The Grimm brothers, that's what I
That's
meant.
right, Brothers Grimm. And people might wonder, is this like the Brothers Grimm, like the movie? But this is the literary characters. They actually know their stuff. These are the living history characters like you would have in Christmas time.
Right. Matt Damon wasn't available for us, so we decided to go in our time machine and get the actual Brothers Grimm, who are there telling stories and whatnot and celebrating. And as Laura mentioned, the show kind of lampoons all the classic monster stories from Frankenstein and Dracula to Stephen King in a fun little way to poke fun but celebrate all those famous monster stories.
And I went there yesterday. I went through and we had a walking tour, kind of got the behind-the-scenes look at everything. And they've got other storytelling. They've got the Legends of Sleepy Hollow. It's told inside the First State Capitol. You've got all the different characters who really know their stuff. The Druid Princess. We've got Lizzie Borden and her axe, the Queen of Hearts. Finding these characters and having them, how much input is given from you two as the director and co-director of the festival, and how much of did the people bring to this themselves?
It's very much what they bring to it themselves. We're very much of the philosophy is you find the right people and those people who have that right spark that you're looking for, and you get out of the way and you let them do their magic. So you'll find that when you meet the characters, they're all very unique. They're all very funny and family-friendly, so that it's not just we made carbon copies of the same type of character. Everyone you meet. So when you meet the Wicked Witch of the East, it's going to be very different from your experience with the Phantom of the Opera or the Weird Sisters from Macbeth or any of our other characters. So it's really a family-friendly, fun, but whimsical and magical take on Halloween.
And that's the point I've emphasized, too, is that this is not just for kids. It's not just for adults. It's really for the whole family, all ages.
Absolutely. When I created this festival, Halloween has always been my favorite holiday, but I'm a bit of an anomaly when it comes to Halloween fans because I'm a super uber chicken. So I don't do haunted houses. I don't do scary movies. So I went out to create an event that would be something I would really love at my age. And so it's really crafted so that if you're 4 years old or 104, you're going to find something that you love about it because, again, it is very whimsical and it's very vintage. Not scary, but interesting. It's all about learning. So why do we have these traditions that we celebrate? Why do we carve faces into fruit? Why do we dress up and threaten strangers for candy? All these questions as to where did the Halloween customs come from? We answer those, and you get to rub elbows with the most famous villains in history and folklore.
And you just mentioned you're a big chicken. Maybe we should have a Don Knotts character from the Ghost of Mrs. Chicken out there next time. That's a new character.
I'll see you. We can do that.
And there's also the train depot. We went and did a tour of that. That's set up as a very unique type of event unto itself kind of down there.
Oh, very much so. So in Frontier Park, just steps away from historic Main Street, we have the historic Katy Depot, which hosts our Morbid Curiosity mourning exhibit. So the way that people mourned the passing of a loved one in the 19th century, very interesting. It was more than just wearing black. It was almost a whole production in itself. And we have over 70 authentic artifacts from dresses to paraphernalia that kind of tell the story of how the Victorians dealt with death and grieving. But in addition to that, the depot also hosts an exhibit we call Tinseltown Terror, a salute to the golden age of monster movies, which will play some clips and trailers of the famous monster movies and B sci-fi films of the 1930s to the 1950s. And then our third attraction we have in the depot is new this year called Dorian Gray's Portrait Emporium. So it's an interesting souvenir opportunity themed around Oscar Wilde's The Picture of Dorian Gray. So people will actually get to go and get a lenticular photo. So it's one of those photos that you've maybe seen in craft stores where you look at it one way and it looks like a normal portrait. Then as you move to the side, it starts looking ghoulish. So people can get their own self-portrait, and as they turn the picture or look at it from a different angle, they'll morph into a skull, much like Dorian Gray's picture aged.
And it's a selfie, though, so they don't need to look at it to worry about aging themselves.
That's right.
Like that.
It's completely safe.
It's all technologically advanced. Everyone will be safe. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
So with the expanse of the festival, are you like Jack Skellington? Are you already planning next year already? Are there things in the works?
Absolutely. Actually, this year, the seeds of it were planted about after our first year. We kind of came up with a 3-year plan. So this is something that you're like a shark. You never stop moving and looking forward. So we do have plans for next year already and even beyond that. So, but we're looking forward to getting this one under our belt first.
So this will be the last 2 weekends. So it's going to start the 20th then? Is that do I have the
That's
dates
right. The 20th, the 21st, and then the 26th, 27th, and 28th.
And it's Laura's got a brochure there in her hands. Is there any other information that we can give out to make? Is there just the website for Discover St. Charles, which I'm always plugging? Does Legends and Lanterns have a different website off of that, or is it all just...
we are internal, but we're super fancy. So if you don't want to type in the whole Discover St. Charles thing, you can just do legendsandlanterns.com, and boom, you'll get to us. We also have an official Facebook page, which we encourage people to like if they need their Halloween fix throughout the year.
And you can, come out on Saturday from 11 to 6, Sunday from noon to 5, and then the following weekend it'll be Friday from 5 to 8, Saturday 11 to 8, and then Sunday noon to 5.
Perfect. That's a great way to kick off the Halloween season, those last 2 weekends. So family-friendly, come out. People dress up in costumes is encouraged, I take
Absolutely.
Sure.
It's the Halloween season. And the best thing about it, is it's completely free.
Exactly. That's always good. And they have the face painting I saw and things like that.
There's complimentary face painting. We have a Mexican Plaza del Dia de los Muertos, celebrating the Mexican Day of the Dead, where we actually have a complimentary face painting so that people can get a nice little Mexican sugar skull makeover.
And the carriage will be running
yes, we have horse-drawn hay rides that are narrated by a spirit of St. Charles, so they'll talk a little bit about the origins of Halloween traditions, as well as pointing out some of those juicy areas of macabre and villainy and mischief in Main Street history. You know, those things you don't read about in the guidebooks all the time.
Those are also completely free.
Also completely free.
So it sounds like people may need to come down both weekends just to get everything in with all the activities and all the things to see and do.
Absolutely. It's one of those things that it's definitely a full day, but we have many people who come many times throughout the season, and there's always something new to experience.
Plus, you've got the pumpkin glow the second weekend, so that's always fun to do.
Yes, we partner with the merchants the second weekend, and they all carve thousands of jack-o'-lanterns, and they stay open late. So it's a very unique way. If you've been to the Historic District hundreds of times, you've never seen it all aglow in pumpkins, so it's worth it to see.
It's so beautiful.
Fantastic. That's discoverstcharles.com. We're very pleased to have them on. They've been with us since the beginning of the show, and Halloween's a favorite holiday anyway, so that's going to be a great event to go out and check out. Legends and Lanterns in St. Charles. The Facebook page, Ryan mentioned, Legends and Lanterns. You can get all the information from the little events tab on discoverstcharles.com as well. Ryan and Laura, thanks so much for being on air with us today.
Such a pleasure. Happy Halloween.
There you go. We're going to take our first break. We'll come right back talking with Mike Tyler of the Naked Magicians, their show coming to Westport Plaza Playhouse. Stand by.
Hi, this is Leslie Ann Brunt. I play Mazikeen on Lucifer, and you're listening to Geek to Me Radio.
We are back. Geek to Me Radio here on 105.3 FM, 1380 AM. This segment brought to you by Marcus Theaters. MarcusTheaters.com is the website. If you want to go see a movie, and especially the Halloween season, Halloween, the movie itself, is coming out this coming week. You can go check that out at a Marcus Theater. If you go to the website, you can actually buy your tickets right there. Check out the upcoming movies that are due to be released. You can check out their menu for all the cool food and drink options at the various locations. And maybe you're listening to this in the podcast form and you're not in the greater St. Louis area. And you're thinking, well, I can't go see. Well, yeah, you can, because there are 10 other states, Illinois, Iowa, Minnesota, Nebraska, North Dakota, Ohio, and Wisconsin, where you can check out a Marcus Theater location. Find the one closest to you. Buy your tickets right there online. Goosebumps 2, A Haunted Halloween in theaters coming up here as well. Another great fall show. And they've always got cool things going on as far as film festivals. They've got special events going on. Right now, the Magical Movie Showcase, Harry Potter, all 9 films for just $27. You can get tickets for that right there on the website as well. It works out to a great $5 per film, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Or if you get the passport, it's even a little less than that. You can do all this from the website. Check out the cool Ultimate Tub Dynamite deals for the vendors. If you go and you like to have that experience of getting the popcorn, because you walk in and you smell it, you can't help but smell it, and you want to get one of the concessions. Marcus Theaters, the greatest place to see a movie. If you're going to do it, see it in first class. MarcusTheaters.com. As I mentioned, this is a jam-packed show. We are waiting on a call now from Mike Tyler from the Magic Magicians. We're also going to be talking to Justin Burnette of Justin's Comics about their 1-year anniversary sale. And then we'll have our interview with Ralph Garman at the pageant tonight with Kevin Smith doing their Hollywood Babble-On. They are going to be doing, if you've been, they do it in California a lot, well, they're both out there. They just did one, I think, at the Scum and Villainy Cantina in Los Angeles. And they are performing tonight. We'll have that interview with Ralph for that segment later on in the show. And I'll be down there seeing the show tonight. So I'll be in the audience as well. If you're going to be out there, if you see me, say hello. Or if you really don't like what I have to say, just hide your face and I'll avoid eye contact, and it'll be great that way as well. But there is a lot going on. Next couple of weeks, we're going to be having some interviews coming up as well. Jim Oosley and Ben Sawyer from the Dead Palace are having an event at the Wizard's Wagon. We'll be talking with them next week. And we also talked to the Newton brothers, who scored the awesome music for The Haunting of Hill House. And we're going to go to the phone lines. Our next guest is Mike Tyler from the Naked Magicians. He will be performing at Westport Playhouse October 19th through the 21st. Mike, thanks very much for being on air.
G'day, yeah, good to have you. Good to have me, in fact, as well. We're on our way to St. Louis very shortly, so we're excited to be there.
And have you been to St. Louis before? Is this your first visit?
It's our second time there. We were in St. Louis last year, which was a lot of fun. It was at a different venue, though. And, yeah, we're excited to be coming back for 5 shows there over a few nights, starting the 19th of October. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
So you and your partner in this, Christopher Wayne, when you guys got together, you're both prestidigitators, and you decided to take the clothes off in the course of this. How did this meeting of the two worlds come about?
Well, we are just friends. I should point that out to begin with. Friends and business partners, and we do get naked on stage each night. But, yeah, we first met actually at a function that I was performing at back in Brisbane. We're both from Australia. And I was doing clothes magic at the time, and he came up and introduced himself and asked to see some magic. And I did some of my favourite and best tricks at the time, and we just sort of connected over a common love of magic. But we always wanted to create something, and we talked about it for a couple of years as best friends. We always wanted to create something that was different to what other magicians were doing around the world. And so we sat down after the movie Magic Mike came out a few years back and designed this show together. Designed the world's naughtiest and funniest magic show. We called it The Naked Magicians, and now we literally strip away all those magic stereotypes and the clothes each night on stage.
So I would take it, just common sense, this would not be a show to bring young kids to. Am I correct in that?
Oh, absolutely. Please leave the kids at home. It is strictly an 18-plus show, so even the teenagers, yeah, you've got to be over 18 to come along to the show, because we do deliver what's on the box, what's on the tin. We really do get naked in the show. That's not just like some gimmick. We strip away everything. In fact, we promise 3 things. We promise it'll be one of the most amazing magic shows you'll ever see. There's incredible magic in the show. We promise it'll be one of the funniest comedy shows you'll ever see, and we do promise we get fully naked by the end of the night. It's a perfect girls' night out. Great for the couples. Great for the gay guys as well.
So as far as there'll be a lot of things Wingardium Leviosa, as Harry Potter would say in this one. So it is, again, just to be clear, because some people might think, well, they might go down to a G-string, but it's full Monty.
Yeah, we get it all off, mate. We like to deliver that. So and we make sure we work out a fair bit as well on the road, and we eat reasonably healthy, although it is tough over here in America doing a 30-city tour right now. But we want to make sure there is something good to look at in that moment when we do get naked. So it's not a couple of tubby old magicians getting naked. It's a couple of young Aussie lads who are in a solid 5 out of 10 shape.
And you're touring all through, I guess this is an international. You guys have been all over. How much time do you take off that you're not traveling?
Very little, mate. This is basically our lives right now. We've probably only got a limited time where people will say we'll pay to see us naked. So in the last few years, we've toured to over up to about 300 cities now, at least 250 different cities around the world, 7 countries. We had the show play on London's West End in 2016. And we've toured all around Australia, New Zealand, Hong Kong, Canada, America. America's like our second home at the moment. We've toured to over 130 different locations around America. And so, 30 cities just this year in America. So.
And with the, I know you originally started out, if I'm not mistaken, as a competitive swimmer. When did is it one of those things where you start off on one path and just kind of magic and entertaining took over? Was there originally the desire in mind to go further with swimming? How and when did the magic and entertaining come in?
Yeah, as a teenager growing up. Sorry, I've got some noisy birds running in the background.
That's all right.
Growing up, I always wanted to be a professional athlete, and the goal was to be an Olympian. And I missed out on the 2000 Olympics. I was a little bit young for it. I wanted to be able to perform the Olympics in my home country, but it didn't happen for me. But I still swim these days, and it helps me keep fit. And both of us had normal 9-to-5 jobs there for a bit. But we had this, Chris and myself both had a passion for entertaining and making people laugh. And we found that as magicians. So, we were full-time clothes magicians first. before we design the naked magicians. And so, when you come to see the show, you can expect some really incredible magic. We're not just a couple, D-grade strippers that learn a few card tricks. There's really is amazing magic. So if you like magic, if you like comedy, or if you like a bit of male nudity, then the show, The Naked Magicians, is for you.
And you can follow them online. Facebook is Sleeves Up, Pants Down. Twitter is at Naked Magicians, and Instagram, The Naked Magicians. Is your show very interactive? Like, can the audience expect to, do you take volunteers, or is there that aspect to the show?
Yeah, it is a very interactive show. Every single trick we do, we involve at least one audience member. So we like to get the audience to realize that, when they're coming to see The Naked Magicians, they're also coming to be part of a show. It's a very interactive show. But we're the only ones that need to get naked. The audience members don't get naked in the show, so you don't have to worry about that. Sometimes the after party is a little different, but during the show, we're definitely the only ones getting naked.
And we're talking now with Mike Tyler of The Naked Magicians. With you've got the website as well. You put stuff up there. Is that just kind of a taste of what they can see at the show, or is it something completely different from what they see online for what you guys do?
Yeah, we don't really film the show at all. There's no footage from the show that you'll see online. But, you can see a lot of snippets of what we do through our website, or our social media is always good. You can see different press tricks we've done on TV and stuff like that. But yeah, the show, it involves an incredible escape. We have a knife throw in it. We have incredible predictions. But all the tricks in the show are themed around naughty topics that you normally only chat about with your friends behind closed doors after a few wines. So instead of an old cheesy magic show, it's a very, very, very interactive, very naughty, and very entertaining show. We figure the magic is kind of almost a smallest ingredient in the perfect recipe for a non-stop party night out.
So you've got obviously the magic and the complexity of the magic tricks. There's also the nudity aspect. There's the performing in front of a live crowd. So pardon the pun, but that's a lot of balls in the air. What's the hardest part about doing this type of show for the both of you?
I think probably staying in shape on the road is the hardest part, because we do want to make sure there is something good to look at for the audience when we do get naked. So, and then over here in America, touring around, we're doing 5-hour drives or flights each day and loading into different theaters. So I think that's probably the hardest part. But, we're super comfortable being naked after, because we've been doing this show since 2014.
Yeah.
So the nudity part, it really comes quite easy for us in terms of the nerves and that sort of thing. But I do remember that very first show. It was probably, thinking back, it's one of the scariest moments of my life when I realized I was getting on stage in front of, 500 people, 1,000 people each night, with nothing on, with our sleeves up and pants down, as we like to say. But yeah, it's so liberating now, and we love it. My favorite part of the show is the part where we start stripping the clothes away, because we do start the show fully clothed in The Naked Magicians, and we slowly get the audience to work for it a bit, have a laugh, enjoy the magic, and slowly strip away the clothes piece by piece.
And once again, that website, nakedmagicians.com. They will be performing at Westport Playhouse October 19th through the 21st. Tickets are still available, but I assume these sell out pretty quickly, so get them early. And Mike Tyler, thanks very much for being on air. We'll hopefully see you at the show.
Thanks so much, James. Yeah, the Friday night, there's a handful of tickets left, but we do have a few more shows over that weekend. So get along to it. It's going to be a lot of fun. Looking forward to being in St. Louis. Excellent.
Can't wait to see you. Thanks so much for being on air.
Thanks, mate.
Anytime. Mike Tyler, there he goes. We're going to take our next break. We'll come back talking with Justin Burnette, owner of Justin Comics, their 1-year anniversary sale. We'll see what he has to say about that coming up right after this. Stand by.
The Pinky and the Brain, yes, Pinky and the Brain. One is a genius, the other's insane. They're laboratory mice, their genes have been spliced. They're Pinky and the Brain, 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 brain.
Hey, this is Phil Lamar.
Hermes Conrad.
The samurai known as Jack. And you're listening to Geek to Me Radio.
Phil Lamar over at, he's at Archon St. Louis this weekend. I did not realize that. He's over there. If you're in that area, popping, and I think today's the last day of that, you can go say hi to Phil Lamar. If you are in the St. Louis area, next weekend, October 20th and 21st, Justin's Comics. We've had Justin Burnette on the air in the past, and he's celebrating his 1-year anniversary sale. Happy anniversary, Justin's Comics.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for having me on today. I'm really anxious for it.
I'll bet. So it's been a year. That's they always say 90% of businesses, if they're going to fail, they fail in the first year. So I guess you guys are definitely here to stay. Congratulations.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're here. We're going to become a staple in the community, but yeah, I'm having this sale a few weeks before our it's 1-year anniversary sale, but I'm so anxious for it. I'm having it a few weeks early, but I figure make it to this sale, we'll have a year in. So
yeah, it's like the kid who wants to unwrap his Christmas presents early. You just want to get it and get in there and do it. And you've got this stuff going on all weekend. Starting on Saturday, October 20th, there's a pre-sale outside from 11 a.m. to 11:45. Oh
yes, demand's been so high for the event. I mean, we got well over 100 people either interested or attending the event on Facebook. A lot of customers are really, really hyped for it, so I decided to go ahead and I'll be having tables set up outside at 11 a.m. so we can go ahead and have a pre-sale outside for card transactions, and by the time the store opens at noon, kind of space it out a little bit, and we have a bunch of stuff going on. When we open at noon, we'll have free food to start out the day, some free comics and posters, free movie tickets even to the Dollar Theater and St. Andrews Cinema. And we have stuff going on all day. We're going to have a local comic label here from 2 to 6 p.m., confidential comics to the writers from them out of Kansas City. We'll be here to do in-store signings and talk to customers. So, and it's a 2-day sale, so it'll still be going on Sunday. So we have a weekend full of fun stuff.
And 60% off of everything, it looks like, for both days, the 20th and the 21st. That's literally off of everything, yeah?
Yes, everything in the store, whether, if it's a cover price or if it's got a sticker price on it, it'll be 60% off of that price. And I'm stocked up. That's the reason I can do it. I'm stocked up well for this event. Sales have been going well for us. So it's time to give back to the community and have some fun and get some people in here for a weekend. It's 1-year anniversary, so I'm going all out for it.
All out. That's right. Pull out all the stops. One of the things I love about your store is that you guys always have a huge selection of variant covers, and it's normally not one of those where you have to I hope they have this. You guys always have a lot of them. So that's one of the great things I love about your store is just the selection.
Oh yeah, and that's something I really love how we kind of combine an old school and a new school approach with our store. I have a lot of people tell me that this is kind of like an old school type store. We got down to earth personal service. We concentrate more on product and service than anything, and I try to give back to the community, but we also do some new school approach as well, like you were talking about the variants. We have a large variety of variants, and we have, vintage comics too, and still plenty of, cover A's, and we do it with some deep discounted sales, and we advertise a lot through a strong social media presence, so we kind of combine old and new school, approach to this.
And we should mention then, you just hit on the social media aspect, the Facebook, Justin's Comics, and of course Twitter at Justin's Comics, the numeral 1, and then there's the website for it, justinscomics.shop is the website.
Oh yeah, and often people, I post a lot of stuff that we get in on there, whether it's vintage or variant or, some other new comic coming out, and I hear it almost daily that people say, well, I saw it on Facebook, So it's a great way to connect with customers, and sometimes I might just post some other things I like or want to talk about too. And so that's something especially, I've seen in other cities and stores do it, but we're one of the few ones locally that really try to stay in touch with customers through that media.
Yeah, you almost can't avoid it these days with everything being online and on social media. And I notice I love your Instagram posts too, because you guys always have, hey, we just got this in the store. It's up for sale, and here's the price. It's not like you're trying to get people in to come to the store. It's like, here's the price of it. If people want to come and get it, they can come and get it. And you're not kind of trying to lure them into the store. Oh, we don't have it after all. So I love that you are totally above board and honest, and all your social media posts reflect that as well.
Oh yeah. I try to be as transparent as I can. No kind of I'm not going to be 60% off, and you get in the store and there's a corner, the 60% off stands in the corner and everything else is full or whatever. No, it's 60% off everything in the store. like when I post stuff on social media, I try to be as transparent as I can with it. I put the prices up on it. And some of the stuff is just kind of cool to look at, too, some of the variants and some of the older vintage stuff. So I like to post that, just, share to the customers things that they might not normally, get to see. So, yeah, we do a lot of, kind of like I said, a mix of new and old with what we do.
Very cool. And that event, once again, going on Saturday, October 20th and Sunday, October 21st. Check out the website, justinscomics.shop, and, of course, Facebook, Justin's Comics. Follow him on Twitter and Instagram, @Justin'sComics1. Justin Burnette, congratulations once again on 1 year, and we'll be in the store to say hi this weekend.
All right, yeah, thanks for having me on.
Anytime. Take care. There he goes, Justin Burnette, Justin's Comics. Congratulations on 1 year. We're going to come right back talking with Ralph Garman about his show coming up, The Pageant, tonight with Kevin Smith. Stand by.
Hey, this is John Heater. I played Napoleon Dynamite and other unforgettable characters, and you're listening to Geek to Me Radio. I guess it's a pretty good station. I've never heard it or anything.
We are back. Tonight at the pageant, Kevin Smith and Ralph Garman will be in town. You know him from the Ralph Report and also from Kevin Smith's better half on Hollywood Babble-On. They do some great live shows, and they're coming here to the pageant. Tickets are still available, last I checked. Just go to the pageant website, and here is a brief bit of our interview with Ralph Garman.
James, thanks for having me, sir.
Absolutely. So we'll start with the transition from radio to the Ralph Report. What kind of culture shock was that like? Obviously, many aspects are the same, but you're doing a lot of the heavy lifting yourself these days. How have you found it to be?
Yeah, after doing, 18 years of morning radio here in Los Angeles, that job went away. Sadly, as many do in radio. And I was left on my own, and I said, I'm going to start doing a daily show of my own. And I started doing it on Patreon.com as a podcast. And you're right, there is a steep learning curve when you're used to working in radio with a crew of people who help you out with editing and sound effects and production and all that stuff. When you're doing it all by yourself, it's a bit of a task, but I'm having a time.
And with the Ralph Report, you've got access. Obviously, I've got to beg and plead to get people. You've been very kind. Thank you, by the way, for joining us on air. But you can just reach out and say, hey, Seth MacFarlane, want to be on air with us? Hey, Kevin Smith, come over. So that's got to be, I would assume, it makes your job easier, obviously, when you've got such fantastic guests who you can tap into. Yeah,
the one upside of the Ralph Report for me has been, unlike radio, where you're kind of limited to your time, how long you can talk to someone. I sat down with Jimmy Kimmel, and we sat down for over an hour and talked. And then, you're right, I had Kevin on, of course, as a guest. And, geez, I have somebody, John Cryer, and so many great other friends of mine who are willing to come over. I got Dave Grohl from Foo Fighters coming up. Seth, as you mentioned, MacFarlane's coming on next month. So it's nice to do a long-form interview and really get into some conversation. And then, I break that up and play it throughout the week. But it's really been a blast.
And you've got the Patreon account, which a lot of people have jumped on. Again, you've had that background. You were kind of an established person, so I'm sure that helped a lot with that kind of a thing. But with Patreon, do you have, like you just said, it's a long form. Do you give bonus content out as part of your Patreon if people want to subscribe?
I do, yeah. One of the higher tiers of the subscription base is I give them the entire uncut interview so they can listen to it at their leisure. And a lot of people like that. In this fast-paced social media world, we don't get a lot of, in-depth conversation anymore. So people really seem to be enjoying it.
And then, as we mentioned, Hollywood Babble-On with Kevin Smith, which will be coming to town here at the pageant. With all the show, Kevin Smith, he had the AMC Comic Book Man, which sadly just got canceled, but he does the Jay and Silent Bob Get Old. The guy does more live shows and has podcasts than I've had hot dinners in my life. Having someone like that to tap into as well, what is the difference between having his presence versus doing your own Ralph Report?
Well, Kevin and I have been doing Hollywood Babble-On now for over 8 years, and it's always been in front of a live audience. We've always planned to do it as a live show. So when we're on stage together, although we are doing a podcast, we're also doing a live comedy show, and there's a lot of live elements in it as well. There's videos and pictures and jingles that go along for the recurring segments. It's really become an interactive fan experience that we just love doing live. And we like to feel when we're on stage that we're like a comedy team as much as we are a podcast team. So we have just a great time going back and forth and making each other laugh and hopefully making the audience laugh as well. It's really one of the joys of my life is doing that show with Kevin on a weekly basis usually, but we've missed a couple of weeks lately because Kevin's been up in Vancouver directing a new Supergirl episode. So we're looking forward to getting back on the stage. It'll be the first time in about a month we've done the show when we hit the pageant there in St. Louis, so we're looking forward to it.
Obviously, though, having done it for 8 years, I'm sure it's even taking a month off, you don't miss a beat when you guys get back together.
No, and we're such good friends, too. When we see each other, we immediately fall back into that rhythm. And I think St. Louis is really going to be a particularly fun show because, like I said, we haven't done it in a month, and we're jonesing to get on stage and do what we do. So the energy is going to be great.
And we talked a little bit before we started the interview. You've not been to St. Louis before. This is your first visit, so welcome.
Thank you so much.
Is there anything, I know Kevin's been through town before, has he told you anything like you have to go to Gus's Pretzels or anything like, has he given you the lowdown on what you guys have to do while you're here?
What is it with Gus's? He did mention that. Is that like a famous pretzel place?
It is. He went there. He went there while he was in town back in April for his Jay and Silent Bob Get Old tour, and he brought it up on. I saw both nights of his show when he came to town, and he mentioned Gus's Pretzels. They're like, these pretzels are amazing. So
well, I'm going to have to check it out because he did in fact mention that to me. It's funny you said that, but I'm going to try Gus's. I'm just looking forward to hanging out there at the Del Mar Loop. It just seems like such a cool area.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool things to see and do. St. Louis is such a microcosm. You like go down to the hill if you want Italian food. Downtown is a lot of restaurants, and then Del Mar Loop is almost a new thing unto itself. So it's a great area. So I think you'll have a lot of fun when you get here.
Can't wait.
With the traveling, how does that affect your schedule when you're doing Family Guy? How far out do you record those? I guess you kind of are able to work around things based on what you're doing with that.
Yeah, they're great schedule-wise. They let me sort of come into the studio when I can. And if I get in there once a week, they can have my stuff prepared. And, you know, a lot of people don't realize when you do an animated show, you're not in the recording booth with the other actors and you're not sort of reading it together the way you would a play or shooting a movie or TV show. You go in there and you record your stuff in isolation, and then they kind of edit it all together after the fact. So because of that, I can step into the booth and record a whole episode's worth of dialogue, just my stuff, you know, in a couple hours. So schedule-wise, it's pretty easy to work out.
And I'm a huge fan of voiceover. We've had almost the entire cast of the Justice League, Kevin Conroy, George Newbern, Susan Eisenberg have all been on. And they've talked about before, Kevin Conroy specifically said it's kind of lonely when you're doing like a video game where you're just doing a thing, you're in the booth by yourself, where like Bex Taylor Klaus and Josh Keaton doing Voltron, where they're all kind of there interacting. There's a different energy. But I guess that's just the nature of the beast for voiceover these days.
It's just because of scheduling. They just sort of have to do it that way. It's so hard to get everyone together at one time because everyone's doing a million different things. But the fun stuff, when I started on Family Guy, Seth would direct almost every episode himself. So he would jump into the booth with you, and you'd be standing there next to Stewie and Brian and Quagmire all at the same time. And it was always amazing to watch those voices come out of him in such rapid succession. He's so gifted.
And I suppose if you're doing those takes with someone else, I'm sure that you got to hold for laughter, because I can't imagine doing a voiceover with the cast of Family Guy and not cracking up and having to stop for to recompose yourself.
And the material too is just so funny. Every time I get a script, it's so I can't wait to crack it open because I just love what they're doing.
So Ralph Garman, we do want to mention again, at the pageant, if you want to get your tickets to see him and Kevin Smith do the Hollywood Babble-On, the Ralph Report, just the Ralph Report, if they want to do the Patreon, that's the best way to get those episodes, yes?
Yes, they can go to patreon.com/The Ralph Report, and once they sign up, they have access to all the backlog. We've been doing it since January, so it was about 9 months of good stuff in there.
Fantastic. Well, we'll look forward to keeping up with you and seeing what you have coming out next.
James, thank you so much. What a pleasure.
Ralph Garman tonight at the pageant with Kevin Smith. We're going to take our last break, come back and wrap things up on Geek to Me Radio right after this. Stand by.
And the Masters of the Universe.
Hey, this is Greg Grunberg, Snap Wexley from Star Wars, and it's all geek to me, my friends.
We are back, wrapping things up here on Geek to Me Radio. Thank you once again to all my guests, Ryan Cooper and Laura Enstall, director and co-director from the Legends and Lanterns Festival. the website. Once again, Discover St. Charles, our premier sponsor of the show. The show literally would not be possible without their constant support, so thank you to the city of St. Charles, Joe Ward, Elizabeth Phelps, everyone out there, Karen Godfrey at the CVB, and thank you to Ryan and Laura for coming in, talking all about Legends and Lanterns. Coming up the next 2 weekends, last 2 weekends of October here, so get out there and say hello to them. Mike Tyler from the Naked Magicians, he will be here with his partner on October 19th through the 21st for 5 shows at the Westport Playhouse. You can go get those tickets. They'll have the links at nakedmagicians.com. Justin Burnette, very kind of him to call in, talk about his 1-year anniversary sale. Congratulations once again to Justin's Comics on their 1-year anniversary. And Ralph Garman, very kind to be on air with us, talking about his upcoming show at the pageant. Voiceover actor from the voices he does on Family Guy. He talked about wanting to get back and do some stage work, too. He actually started out in the theater. And I didn't have time to do that full interview, but we will be posting the full interview. We've now rebranded the Geek to Me Radio YouTube page. So if you go to YouTube, we'll have that full interview up there for you to listen to later on this week. Our full 16-minute interview with Ralph Garman. And very excited to see his show tonight at the pageant here in St. Louis with Kevin Smith. If you want to reach out to me and follow me on my other platforms, of course, we welcome you to do so at Twitter. And it's at Geek to Me Radio. On Instagram, at Geek to Me Radio, Facebook.com/Geek to Me Radio, and of course, the website, geektomeradio.com. You can click on the tabs there for the blog, for movie reviews. Most of those are always posted at the Geeks Worldwide as well, thegww.com for my movie reviews with the website I'm affiliated with there. And a lot to look forward to. I've got a special show I'm not going to mention coming up this last week of this month. But I'm pre-recording a couple of my shows because I'll be out of town the next 2 weekends. So we will have Jim Oosley and Ben Sawyer on next week talking about the Dead Palace and their big event at the Wizard's Wagon. Lots to do. Obviously, I feel bad for you if you're not in the St. Louis area because all the cool things we've got going on here the rest of this month. It's amazing. And we'll also have the Newton brothers on air talking about scoring The Haunting of Hill House, which is just dropped on Netflix to rave reviews. I've seen Michael Rosenbaum has been talking about it on Twitter. It's getting a lot of good press and coverage about what they're doing. Timothy Hutton starring in that. You can check that out on Netflix. So lots to do, lots to see, lots to get done. We're going to get it all done. We'll talk to you again next week. Until then, my friends.
It's not in the way you watch I zombie. It's not in the way you watch The Flash. It's not in the way you love Scotty Young art. It's not in the way you play Mario Kart. It's not in the way you look when you make Game of Thrones references. That's our show. This is Geek to Me Radio. That's our show.
Thank you, Sleepy Hollow. Good night.